The countdown to UFC 330 was supposed to be about one thing: Garry versus Islam Makhachev for the welterweight title. The Irish contender was preparing for the biggest fight of his life, training in Brazil, posting videos of his striking, and promising to shock the world. Then his own brother stepped into the octagon of public opinion and detonated a bomb that no PR team could defuse. It started with a podcast. Garry appeared on the High Performance podcast, speaking candidly about his relationship with his parents. He revealed how a lack of support early in his MMA career became one of the most powerful motivators behind his success. He recalled the moment he dropped out of college to pursue MMA full-time, and his mother wrote him a letter that still fuels him to this day. She wrote me, word for word in quotation marks, "Being the next Conor McGregor is not a plan," Garry said in the podcast. "I made my UFC debut at Madison Square Garden when I was 23, and that letter got blasted everywhere. She couldn't fly to the fight because it was COVID, and I was so happy because of it. Because I was like, you know what? You guys didn't show up when you needed to and give me the love and the support, so you shouldn't be there for the, oh, that's my boy. No, you can be that's my boy behind the scenes when it matters." The words were emotional, the story was compelling, and the MMA world ate it up. But then came the response. A user named Sean Garry, Ian's brother, left a lengthy comment beneath the YouTube upload of the podcast, and what he wrote was devastating. "Ian, you're not a victim," Sean wrote. "You act like we were beaten as kids. We grew up in a middle-class house and had everything we wanted. You're the type of guy to take money off his parents and never pay them back." I think the word is entitled. We had everything a child could need. Sean Garry didn't stop there. He systematically dismantled his brother's narrative. "Oh no, you got paid to go to college, and your mother was stressed," he continued. "You got flown all over the world with boxing, yet you talk about them not supporting you? Dad personally got involved in your boxing the whole time, even when he was sick and in chronic pain. Do me a favor and explain that one, Ian. We attended every one of your fights, and we always believed you could do it." The most painful accusation came at the very end. Sean revealed something that cut deeper than any punch Ian has ever taken. "Missing your granddad's funeral, was that a real man thing to do?" Sean wrote. "Not even a text, lad. I'm missing something here. Funny, before you met her, you talked about family very differently. Or were you still too immature at 21? Funny that." The brother's comment is a devastating indictment of the narrative Ian Garry has built his public persona around. Garry has often portrayed himself as a self-made fighter who overcame a lack of family support. He has credited his wife, Layla Machado, with being the one who believed in him when no one else did. He has legally adopted her surname, becoming Ian Machado Garry, a move that sparked widespread debate across the MMA community. But Sean Garry's comment paints a very different picture. A picture of a middle-class upbringing, supportive parents who paid for travel and training, a father who coached him through chronic pain, and a brother who now feels so betrayed that he has publicly aired the family's dirty laundry. Sean's message is clear. Ian Garry didn't overcome adversity. He created it. He fabricated a story of neglect to build his brand, and now the truth is finally being told. The timing of this family betrayal is catastrophic. Ian Garry is preparing for the biggest fight of his life. He is facing Islam Makhachev, the one pound-for-pound fighter in the world, for the welterweight title at UFC 330 on August 15, 2026. Instead of focusing on the champion's wrestling, Garry is now forced to defend himself against accusations from his own blood. The damage to his reputation is incalculable, and his brother's words are only the beginning of the crisis. The UFC 330 card is already under pressure. A key flyweight matchup between Aaron Blanchfield and Jasmine Jasudavicius was scrapped due to Blanchfield's injury. The card is headlined by Islam Makhachev versus Ian Garry for the welterweight title and Mackenzie Dern versus Jillian Robertson for the women's strawweight title. The rest of the card includes Edson Barboza versus Esteban Ribovics, Jeff Neal versus Chidi Njokuani, and Neil Magny versus Ramiz Brahimaj. But now the chaos extends beyond the octagon. The brothers' comment has gone viral. Fans are debating its authenticity. Some are questioning whether Sean Garry is even real, since Ian has never publicly acknowledged having a sibling. But others have accepted it as proof of a pattern of dishonesty, a pattern of selective editing, a pattern of burning bridges and rewriting history, the same pattern that emerged with Alexis Pergande, Shavkat Rakhmonov, and Team Renegade. Garry's credibility is now in tatters, and the fight he was supposed to win is now the least of his problems.
He also went on to talk about how he only trains once a day because he wants to be there for his kids and family. Nothing wrong with being there for your wife and kids.
Sean Garry didn't just call out his brother. He promised more, and that promise has sent shockwaves through the MMA world. In his devastating YouTube comment, Sean ended with a warning that sounded more like a threat. "Do me a favor, Ian," he wrote. "I have been silent on your situation because I still feel bad for you. But if you consider spewing this bullshit again, I will reveal the whole truth clearly and entirely. That is a promise. The words hang in the air like a guillotine blade. Sean Garry is not done. He is holding back information. Information that could destroy his brother's carefully constructed narrative. Information that could end Ian Garry's career before he even steps into the octagon against Islam Makhachev. The comment section erupted. Fans debated whether Sean Garry was real or an imposter. Ian Garry has never publicly acknowledged having a brother named Sean. But the details in the comment, the middle-class upbringing, the father's chronic pain, the grandfather's funeral, the timeline of when Layla entered Ian's life, all suggest an intimate knowledge of the family that only a blood relative could possess. The authenticity of the account has been widely accepted by the MMA community, even if Ian Garry himself has refused to confirm or deny his brother's existence. The brother's comment also takes direct aim at the central pillar of Ian Garry's public persona, his relationship with his wife, Layla Machado. Ian Garry adopted her surname in 2024, a decision that made headlines around the MMA world. It was a statement, a declaration of loyalty, a way of showing that Layla was the one who truly believed in him when no one else did. "I legally changed my surname to Machado," Garry said at the time, "because Layla and her family have been there for me since day one. They have been the ones to support me, to believe in me, and to help me become the man I am today." Sean Garry's comment directly challenges that narrative. Layla, who met you when you were only a few fights away from the UFC, is suddenly the one who had faith? No way really, you were already there, Sean wrote. The implication is devastating. Ian Garry was already on the verge of UFC success when he met Layla. She didn't believe in him when no one else did. She joined the journey when it was already almost complete. The narrative of the struggling fighter who found his angel was built on a timeline that doesn't add up. Sean Garry also painted a picture of a supportive family that had been there all along. "Dad personally got involved in your boxing the whole time, even when he was sick and in chronic pain," Sean wrote. "Do me a favor and explain that one, Ian. We attended every one of your fights, and we always believed you could do it." This contradicts Garry's repeated claims that his family lacked faith in him. In the same podcast appearance, Garry had recalled how his mother wrote him a letter after he dropped out of college. Being the next Conor McGregor is not a Fungden plan. He had framed that letter as proof of a lack of support. His brother now frames it as evidence of a mother who was understandably stressed but still paid for his education and flew him around the world for boxing competitions. The most painful accusation in Sean's comment, however, is the one about the funeral. "Missing your granddad's funeral. Was that a real man thing to do?" Sean wrote. "Not even a text, lad. I'm missing something here. This is not a dispute about money or support. This is a moral accusation, a betrayal of the most fundamental family obligation. If true, it paints a picture of a man who abandoned his family in their moment of grief. It contradicts everything Ian Garry has claimed about his values and his character, and it suggests that there is a dark side to the public persona that the MMA world has never seen. The absence of a text, the absence of an explanation, the absence of any acknowledgement that a grandfather had passed away. The accusation is devastating because it speaks to the core of who Ian Garry presents himself to be. A family man, a devoted husband and father, a man who values loyalty above all else. If he missed his grandfather's funeral without even sending a text, then everything he claims about his character is called into question. He becomes not just a liar, he becomes a hypocrite. And the MMA community has no tolerance for hypocrites who wrap themselves in the flag of family values while betraying their own blood. The timing of the brother's comment is catastrophic. With just weeks to go until UFC 330, Garry should be focused on the toughest fight of his life. He should be analyzing Makhachev's wrestling. He should be drilling takedown defense. He should be visualizing victory. Instead, he is watching his reputation crumble. His family is airing its dirty laundry in public. His credibility is in tatters. The MMA community is laughing at him. And Makhachev, the most dangerous fighter on the planet, is watching all of this unfold with cold, calculating eyes. The Dagestani champion is known for his discipline, his focus, and his ability to exploit weakness. He sees a fighter who is emotionally compromised. He sees a fighter who is distracted. He sees a fighter who has already lost the mental battle before the physical battle even begins. UFC 330 is scheduled for August 15 at the Xfinity Mobile Arena in Philadelphia. Islam Makhachev will defend his welterweight title against Ian Machado Garry. The event has already lost a key flyweight matchup between Aaron Blanchfield and Jasmine Jasudavicius due to Blanchfield's injury. The card is now under pressure, and Garry is under siege. The brothers' comment has added a new dimension to the chaos. The fight is no longer just about a belt. It is about redemption. It is about reputation. It is about a man who must prove that he is not the person his brother describes. The question is whether he can do that with Makhachev standing across from him. The answer will determine his future. The answer will determine his legacy.
Ian Garry, like, we all find him very polarizing is a good way to describe him. But I feel like sometimes you forget from this personality that he is actually really, really good. Like,
While the Garry family drama was exploding on one side of the MMA world, another bomb was detonating on the other side. And this one came from one of the most dangerous men on the planet. Alex Pereira, the former light heavyweight champion, the man who knocked out Israel Adesanya, the striker who has terrorized two weight divisions, just went absolutely nuclear on Paulo Costa. The Brazilian showdown that fans have been waiting for is now a full-blown war of words, and Pereira has made it clear he can take everything away from Costa with one phone call. The conflict began when Costa, fresh off a career-best knockout of Azamat Murzakanov at UFC 327, started talking about his position in the light heavyweight division. The 35-year-old Brazilian had finally found his footing at 205 pounds after years of misery at middleweight. He knocked out Murzakanov in spectacular fashion and immediately vaulted himself into title contention. But Costa wasn't satisfied. He went on the Ariel Helwani show and started criticizing the state of the division. He pointed out that champion Carlos Ulberg was out with a knee injury. He dismissed the contenders around him. And then he said something that caught Pereira's attention. He suggested that Alex Pereira should not be in the conversation, that Poatan was outdated, that he had moved up to heavyweight and left the division behind. It's been a while since you signed your contract, and a lot of things have changed, Costa said, effectively dismissing the former champion's relevance. The problem with Costa's logic is that Pereira didn't just vacate his light heavyweight title and disappear. He specifically named Paulo Costa as the man he wanted to see fight for the belt. It was an endorsement, a vote of confidence from the most dangerous striker in the division. And Costa repaid that endorsement by publicly dismissing him. Pereira did not take it quietly. The former champion fired back with a response that was measured, calm, and utterly devastating. "It is not a provocation," Pereira wrote. "But I see that you're outdated, and I understand why, because it's been a while since you signed your contract, and a lot of things have changed." Then came the warning. The kind of warning that only a man like Alex Pereira can deliver. "If I want to compete for the light heavyweight belt, I can do this," Pereira declared. "A lot of fighters are waiting or working to get to that opportunity, and I went and took the opportunity. But now I want something more, which is the third belt. I have to take risks, because if I hadn't taken risks in all my struggles, I wouldn't have conquered all that I have conquered." The message was unambiguous. Paulo Costa, you are on thin ice. The man who endorsed you can just as easily take away everything you've earned. You are not in a position to dismiss anyone. You are on the final fight of your current UFC deal. You turned down a short-notice shot at Magomed Ankalaev in Abu Dhabi. You are not the king. You are not even the prince. You are a contender who just got lucky. And lucky contenders don't get to talk about champions like they're irrelevant. The irony of this situation is almost poetic. Pereira is chasing history. He wants to become the first three-division champion in UFC history. He is taking risks to achieve that dream. He is stepping up to heavyweight to face Cyril Gane. He is risking his legacy for the chance to do something no one has ever done. And Costa, who has done nothing except win one fight, is talking about Pereira like he's a has-been. The light heavyweight division is now in chaos. The champion is injured. The contenders are fighting for scraps. And Alex Pereira, the man who could step back down and take the title shot whenever he wants, is watching from the shadows, waiting to see who deserves his attention. The good news for fans is that all of this chaos is happening on the same card. UFC 330 is already stacked. The main event is Makhachev versus Garry. The co-main is Dern versus Robertson. And now, the backdrop of the entire event is the Pereira-Costa war of words. The fight game is about to get even more interesting. The irony of the situation is almost poetic. Pereira and Costa were never enemies. In fact, the two Brazilians have a history of trading light-hearted barbs on social media. They even joked about sparring sessions and training partners. But this is different. This is not banter. This is a power struggle. Costa is trying to establish himself as the next challenger for the light heavyweight title. Pereira is reminding him who holds the keys to that kingdom. The division is in flux. The champion is injured. The contenders are circling. And the man who could end all their dreams with one phone call is watching from the shadows.
Yeah, I think he can definitely get the belt back.
Yeah, I hope they can negotiate something with Paulo Costa. I know he wants to get paid, but I feel like we're finally locking into a good Paulo Costa part of his career.
Just when it seemed the MMA world couldn't handle any more chaos, the bombs kept dropping. Ian Garry's family betrayal was now global news. His brother Sean's devastating YouTube comment had been picked up by every major outlet. The accusations were damning. A fabricated victim narrative, money stolen from parents, a grandfather's funeral missed without even a text. And at the center of it all was Layla Machado, the woman Garry had legally changed his surname to honor. Layla, who met you when you were only a few fights away from the UFC, is suddenly the one who had faith, Sean wrote. No way really, you were already there. The implication was brutal. Garry's entire public persona, his brand, his identity, all built on a foundation that his own brother was now publicly dismantling. The MMA world exploded. Comment sections flooded with reactions. Some questioned whether Garry was real, since Ian had never publicly acknowledged having a sibling. But the details in the comment, the middle-class upbringing, the father's chronic pain, the grandfather's funeral, suggested an intimate knowledge that only a blood relative could possess. The authenticity of the account was widely accepted, even if Ian Garry himself refused to confirm or deny his brother's existence. Sean ended his comment with a chilling promise. I have been silent on your situation because I still feel bad for you. But if you consider spewing this bullshit again, I will reveal the whole truth clearly and entirely. That promise now hangs over Ian Garry's head like a guillotine. His brother is holding back more information that could end his career before he even steps into the octagon against Makhachev. The timing is catastrophic. UFC 330 is just weeks away. The card has already lost a key flyweight matchup between Aaron Blanchfield and Jasmine Jasudavicius due to Blanchfield's injury. The main event is Islam Makhachev versus Ian Garry for the welterweight title, co-headlined by Mackenzie Dern versus Jillian Robertson for the women's strawweight title. The rest of the card is stacked with names like Edson Barboza, Vicente Luque, and Jeff Neal. But all anyone can talk about is the chaos surrounding Garry. And while the welterweight division was imploding, the light heavyweight division was detonating. Alex Pereira, the former champion chasing history as a three-division king, had gone nuclear on Paulo Costa. The conflict began when Costa, fresh off a career-best knockout of Azamat Murzakanov at UFC 327, started criticizing the state of the division. He dismissed the contenders around him and suggested that Pereira should not be in the conversation. It's been a while since you signed your contract, and a lot of things have changed, Costa said, effectively dismissing the former champion's relevance. The problem with Costa's logic is that Pereira didn't just vacate his light heavyweight title and disappear. He specifically named Paulo Costa as the man he wanted to see fight for the belt. An endorsement. A vote of confidence from the most dangerous striker in the division. And Costa repaid that endorsement by publicly dismissing him. Pereira's response was devastating. It is not a provocation, but I see that you're outdated, and I understand why, because it's been a while since you signed your contract and a lot of things have changed. Then came the warning that sent shockwaves through the division. If I want to compete for the light heavyweight belt, I can do this. A lot of fighters are waiting or working to get to that opportunity, and I went and took the opportunity. But now I want something more, which is the third belt. The message was clear. Keep complaining and Poatan might just come back and take everything you've earned. The irony is almost poetic. Pereira is chasing history, becoming the first three-division champion in UFC history. Costa is on the final fight of his current UFC deal and turned down a short-notice shot at Magomed Ankalaev in Abu Dhabi. He is not the king. He is not even the prince. He is a contender who just got lucky. And lucky contenders don't get to talk about champions like they're irrelevant. The good news for fans is that all of this chaos is happening on the same card. UFC 330 is already stacked. The main event is Makhachev versus Garry. The co-main is Dern versus Robertson. And now, the backdrop of the entire event is the Pereira-Costa War of Words. The fight game is about to get even more interesting. The countdown to UFC 330 is no longer just about a fight. It is about a reckoning. Ian Garry's world has imploded in ways that no one could have predicted. His brother's accusations have torn down the carefully constructed narrative that Garry built his career around. The middle-class upbringing that was recast as a story of neglect. The supportive parents who were painted as obstacles. The wife who was elevated to sainthood while his family was erased from the story. Sean Garry's devastating words cut through the noise like a knife. Ian, you're not a victim. You act like we were beaten as kids. We grew up in a middle-class house and had everything we wanted. The accusations are deeply personal. Garry's brother claims that Ian took money from his parents and never repaid them. He claims that his father, despite being sick and in chronic pain, supported Ian's boxing career. He claims that the entire family attended every fight and always believed in him. And then he dropped the most devastating accusation of all. Missing your granddad's funeral. Was that a real man thing to do? Not even a text, lad. The implication is undeniable. Garry has been lying about his past. He has been selling a narrative of victimhood that his own brother is now publicly dismantling. And the timing could not be worse. Islam Makhachev is watching all of this unfold. The pound-for-pound champion has been preparing meticulously for UFC 330. He has brought in Joel Alvarez, a 6'2" Spanish fighter with a similar frame to Garry, to help him prepare for the Irishman's reach and distance management. Alvarez will role-play Garry's style, giving Makhachev a chance to adapt to the height and range that make Garry so difficult to fight. The champion is leaving nothing to chance. He has also had Usman Nurmagomedov mimicking Garry in sparring. Makhachev's preparation is focused, disciplined, and ruthless. He knows that Garry is a threat. He knows that Garry's fight IQ, as praised by Demian Maia, makes him dangerous. Garry reads his opponents extremely well and knows how to adapt, Maia said. He's someone who learns very quickly and knows how to make life difficult for his opponents. But Maia also knows what Garry is up against. Islam is one of the greatest fighters of all time. His jiu-jitsu is of an extremely high level. I'd even say he could compete successfully in elite no-gi Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournaments. The Brazilian jiu-jitsu legend, who has been a crucial part of Garry's training camp, has prepared him for the grappling exchanges that will define the fight. Maia believes Garry's biggest strength is his fight IQ, and he will be in Garry's corner on fight night alongside Diego Lima, John Hathaway, and Paulo Mauricio Strauch. But even Maia's confidence cannot erase the chaos surrounding Garry's personal life. The UFC 330 card has already taken a hit. Erin Blanchfield's injury has forced the cancellation of a key flyweight matchup against Jasmine Jasudavicius. The fight will be rescheduled for a later date, but the main event remains intact. Makhachev versus Garry is still the headline, the welterweight title is still on the line, and the world is still watching. The fight is scheduled for August 15 at the Xfinity Mobile Arena in Philadelphia. The co-main event features Mackenzie Dern defending her strawweight title against Jillian Robertson. The rest of the card is stacked with names like Edson Barboza, Vicente Luque, Jeff Neal, and Neil Magny. The chaos surrounding Garry is not limited to his family. His credibility crisis has been building for months. The Pergande controversy exposed his history of selective editing. The Rachmanov accusation exposed his willingness to mislead the public. The Team Renegade ban exposed his inability to maintain relationships in the gym. Now his own brother has exposed the lie at the heart of his public persona. The victim narrative was a fabrication. The lack of support was a fiction. The family he pushed away was the one that had supported him all along. Garry has not responded to his brother's comments. His silence is telling. He has not denied the accusations. He has not issued a statement. He has not even acknowledged that he has a brother named Sean. The silence is deafening, and the MMA community is drawing its own conclusions. Sean Garry ended his comment with a chilling promise. I have been silent on your situation because I still feel bad for you. But if you consider spewing this bullshit again, I will reveal the whole truth clearly and entirely. That is a promise. That promise now hangs over Garry's head like a guillotine blade. His brother is holding back more information. Information that could end his career before he even steps into the octagon against Makhachev. The question is whether Garry will ever give him a reason to release it. The answer to that question may determine his future, not just in the UFC, but in the sport, in the eyes of the fans. In the legacy he is trying to build. The fight is no longer just about the welterweight title. It is about redemption. It is about reputation. It is about a man who must prove that he is not the person his brother describes. The cage door will close on August 15, and when it opens again, we will know the answer. The chaos surrounding Ian Garry is no longer a side story. It is the story. His brother has exposed the lie at the heart of his public persona. His credibility is in tatters. And Islam Makhachev, the most dangerous fighter on the planet, is waiting to punish him. The countdown to UFC 330 has become a countdown to destruction. The question is no longer who will win the fight. The question is whether Ian Garry has already lost everything that matters. The cage door is closing, and once it does, there is no going back. The world is watching, the verdict is coming, and the truth, finally, will be undeniable.